Welcome along to Betting Weekly Live Premier League show. You're with Dan Roebuck alongside me, Nigel Seeley and Jack Wright. International break over, although not for some. Nigel, Greece is the word. Your international break continues.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the Nigel Seeley road tour of the summer. I mean, listen, I get a lot of stick. I only spend a few days in some glamorous resorts around the world. But this is actually my holiday, to be fair. I mean, I was in New York, obviously, a couple of weeks ago. But this is actually my holiday. It's the only week of the year where there's no tennis and there is no ATP Tour tennis days and there's no Premier League football. So I do this show and then I'm back to the grind next week and no more trips until November. October 15th.
Yeah. So no more trips for Czech's diary, 2 weeks' time.
Listen, Latvia away, watching England with my mates is not really like a glamorous trip. It's my holiday. Come on, man, a holiday.
Nigel is in Greece, and we've got our own Danny Zucco with us as well. Jack, how are you?
I'm very good. You know what, Dan, you've always been the one that I want. So,
yes.
I'm still looking for a bit of summer loving, but you know what I'm saying? Like, so, slide into my DMs, please.
Wonderful. Match day 4 of the Premier League. Big bets, strong opinions, and I am promising you some winners this week.
Who's on?
Let us know in the comment section.
Is it cricket and Arthur?
Let us know in the comment section what you're betting. Premier League this weekend. This is our P&L for the season. It is on screen. It will get better. I'm promising you that. It's been a challenging start to the Premier League season. And if you want more from all of our handicappers, I should have left this bit for a little bit later in the show. If you want more from our handicappers, subscribe to our newsletter. It is free twice a week. Head to bettingweeklystudios.com if you've not got it already. Right, back to the action then. Here, straight into the action. Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest is a Saturday 7:30 Eastern kickoff. Arsenal are minus 278. They were minus 310 about 24 hours ago. So there's been interest in Forest to a certain extent, Nigel. Big Angie's back. What does that mean for bettors? No wins in his last 7 for Spurs in the Premier League. No clean sheet in his last 13 for Spurs in the Premier League, and he never took a side to beat Arsenal. What do we think? What do we expect from Forest?
Well, first of all, I think it's a very, very tricky time for betting. And I'm not saying that because we're losing money, but I'm just saying it, the week after international break, a lot of players travelling all around the globe. And also the week before Champions League football for some of these big sides. So their teams are obviously got one eye on Champions League. Their favourites are usually vulnerable across Europe a week before Champions League and also the week after the Champions League. So that's now, I've put that out now, the disclaimer, when it all goes wrong, it's out there that I've actually said that. But this match here, I mean, what can he have done? What can Ange Postecoglou have done in the short period of time he's been with Nottingham Forest? Obviously, like I say, a lot of his players have been away. He's probably had one training session maybe today, Thursday maybe, to get everyone back. I don't think much can change. I think, he's got some very important games coming up. I think that's where he's been brought into. And obviously, they want to have a big run in Europe where he's won the Europa League last year with Tottenham. So really, what is going to change? I don't think much. The one thing that will change is there is some toxic nature between the former manager and the owner, which may galvanise the squad a little bit more. No, that's not there. I think he's a man manager, Postecoglou. So I think these players will play with a bit of freedom. They've got a player in Elliot Anderson who's come back from international break, who's been absolutely incredible for England, man of the match in the 2 matches he's played. So he's going to be full of confidence. But as you say, they've never beaten Arsenal. He's never beaten Arsenal. And this is a tough ask for a Nottingham Forest side who haven't won at Arsenal since 1989, last time they won. And number 1 in the charts, Jason Donovan.
Yeah.
Too many broken hearts in the world. And I think Nottingham Forest hearts will be broken here. The goal scorers on that day when Nottingham Forest won were 3-2. Nigel Clough, Stuart Pearce and Franz Carr. That is how long ago the last time they beat Arsenal. So Arsenal, despite the fact they have Champions League football, they travel to Bilbao in midweek. I think they're going to be too strong here. Would I bet them at the price? Probably not. But if I was leaning something towards, I'd have to go Arsenal minus 1.25 goal at minus 125. Arsenal have a big enough squad now to be able to make changes and adequate changes. Quality players will come in. the likes of Trossard, Eze. They've got down, even Max Downham, who's been an absolute revelation when I saw him play with incredible talent. They've got players who can come in, big enough squad. They played well against Liverpool, didn't win. They played well against Manchester United, didn't win. But at home, against lesser opposition, they seem to have the number of them. Beat Leeds comfortably 5-0. I don't expect another 5-0 win, but obviously not in the Forest side, who were really poor their last match, losing at home 3-0 in a shock defeat against West Ham. The only way is up for Nottingham Forest, but I think Arsenal will win this. I expect them to win this. They have to win this already in the title race with points they've dropped already. But I think if I was leaning towards it, which I am, no official play for me, I'd have to go for Arsenal -1.25 goal at -125. The next 4 Forest matches are all away on the road. They've got some big important matches to come up in Europe and at home. But this one here, I think Arsenal will win it. But small lean, cover the 1.25 goal handicap.
Did win against Manchester United, I think you meant to say. Jack,
it did win.
Yeah, what you didn't play well, though, is the spin on that, as you say. Jack, what have you got for us here? Just a lean.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, really. So when you're looking at games to try and avoid, there's certain things that stand out to you, isn't it? International break coming back from that, as Nigel's already said, and the Champions League coming up. The early kick-off is another one that people tend to avoid. And when there's a new manager coming in, so we've got a bit of everything for this one. So if you wanted enough alarm bells on it, this is the one. So yeah, I agree with Nigel how I see this one going. I think Arsenal have had some players who had a great international break. Madueke as well. I thought was a bit of a breakthrough for England in that one, really put himself on the map there. Declan Rice, of course, was solid as well. Odegaard had that great performance against Moldova as well. So their tails will be up, I think. And as Nigel says, what can Ange do in probably 2 training sessions at most before this one kicks off? Obviously early on a Saturday as well. So like I said, there's even limited time for that. And that's the problem when as Forest, you're going from one extreme to the other as far as your manager's concerned. There's no continuity in it. So he's going to be frustrated that he can't really implement his style. I think you'll love having those attacking players for Forest, but I'm not really sure those defensive types are his kind of players, to be fair. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes about it. But my lean on this one is for Victor Gyökeres, one of the players who didn't have such a good international break, to score at +100. I think that's a decent price. We talked about him at the start of the season as being someone who's kind of better or scored the goals, stat pad to a certain degree against the lesser lights. I'm putting Forest into that category at the minute. Sorry, Forest fans, I'm sure you'll come for me. But I'm putting them in that lower half of the table at this moment in time. And I think Gyökeres can get on there. They've not looked the best defensively, even under Nuno. And we know that defensive play isn't, especially in the league, isn't really Ange's forte. So they've been weak from set pieces. We know how strong Arsenal are. And the other one I looked at here, by the way, just really quickly, is one on our player that you've earmarked this season, Calafiore, over 1.5 shots at +215 was my backup hot dog this week. And I think that looks a strong play with Arsenal expected to have plenty of the ball.
Bournemouth, Brighton next. This is Saturday afternoon UK, 10 a.m. Eastern. Nigel, according to the Opta Boffins on expected points, this is third versus second. Bournemouth are favourites, slight favourites, +148. In reality, look at Nigel's face. In reality, it's 7th versus 11th. The market still might be looking at these two sides and suggesting they're not as good as those Opta expected points, but they come up against each other here. I think this is a difficult one to call. Just a lean for you on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give anyone any price you want. These two finish third and second in the Premier League. You can have what you want. I mean, the best be said, though, Bournemouth were extremely unlucky in their first match against Liverpool. Obviously scoring 2 goals, lots of chances in the game, 2-2 with a few minutes to go. Thought they'd come back and got the draw, didn't play really well, and backed that up with 2 very good performances, 2 1-0 wins against 2 difficult opponents. I would say Tottenham away was a great performance and not what you would expect from Bournemouth if you watched the first game of the season. Brighton are this inconsistent mixed bag of results that we see week in and week out. They're capable of beating Manchester City, then they can drop points against other sides. I think this is a good match on paper if you look at it. If you looked at your stats and you looked at your expected nature, you're saying that these two teams are underperforming, which means they're underperforming from a goal threat as well. So it looks a game for goals. That would be 36 goals in the 12 matches since these two sides are in the Premier League, averaging 3 goals per game. It's got a look of a goal match for me, but the prices aren't very interesting in terms of value. I mean, both teams to score yes is -175. If you want about over 2.5 goals, -141. People who've been betting over 2.5 goals this season have come unstuck a little bit. Over 2.75, if you want to go up to that, is -113. Perhaps that is the best way to go if you want to be betting on the goals. But you need 4 goals to cash all your stake, which this time of the year is a little bit of a problem for me. Both two teams who would expect you to improve, and both two teams that I think will play in a good manner. I think this will be a decent watch. I don't go with the stats that they'll be second and third, but I do think they'll probably improve on last season. There's no doubt about that. Brighton, excellent last time out against Manchester City. Your stat about having the least possession and they win, they'll probably have the most possession in this match, I would have thought. So that might counter-attack that. But I think, if you're looking at a parlay this week, or you're looking at, if you like your overs and you like teams to attack and like teams to score goals, I think you have to have this one as a goals match. But at the prices, -175, both teams to score, yes. -141, the over 2.5. I'd probably swerve it, but goals is certainly the way to go.
Good analysis from Nigel. Jack, what you got for us? I was looking at players away on international duty. Bournemouth with 13 players, Brighton 11 away, but Brighton probably more significant travellers. Mitoma was playing for Japan out in America. A couple of players out in South America as well. What do you think? Is that going to be a factor for these two teams?
Yeah, it's a bit of a conundrum in it on that, and I think when you got the kind of smaller size, smaller squads like this, that does obviously impact them more. Their key players, they'll want to be playing 90 minutes, and they've generally been playing 90 minutes for their nations away. So that does come into it. I echo Nigel that I think this is goals, but I wouldn't really be too excited about the prices. My lean on it is Brighton tie no bet. I thought this might come into your theory. Nigel's already touched on it there. It was interesting.
I don't know if it will. I'm not so sure. Maybe.
Well, who will have the most possession? I'm not really into possession. Who will have the most possession this match?
Well, last season it was Bournemouth in both games. Bournemouth had both. Right, it was 57 to 43 and 55 to 45.
We're back on the Brighton train.
And Brighton won both games last season. So on that basis, your theory stood firm. And if it happens again this time round. The last time these two met and Bournemouth won was when Brighton had more possession. They had about 60% and lost 3-1, I think it was. So it has followed that trend.
Too much credit.
I told you at the top of the show, he's the one that I want.
I'm far too much. He's found one brilliant stat in 3 years.
Nigel, you know how it is. If you find something that works, you flog it for years on end. Keep going
until it stops. I was doing it last season. Season. Anyway.
Yeah,
what have you got for us,
You
Jack?
go. Yeah, tie no bet Brighton is what I went for, -106. So I was sweet on Brighton pre-season. Not too much has changed. They were really unlucky against Fulham. They dominated the game and conceded with Fulham's only real attempt. And then Everton in the new stadium, missed penalty, missed open goal, hit the frame and a goal as well. And then that good win at City. So there's nothing that's really put me off too much. They're up there or thereabouts. They won 5 of the previous 6 top flight encounters between the two sides. So they've got a good record against Bournemouth. And for all the reasons we've talked about, so including both last season. So yeah, tie no bet for me at -106.
Let's get some picks, shall we? At least Nigel's pick. We've got a 2U play here. It's Newcastle versus Wolves. This is another Saturday afternoon UK. Nigel, Newcastle have got the best defence according to expected goals against. Nigel, and look, with all the Isak stuff done and dusted now, he's gone. You tend to think it's a little bit of a clean slate maybe for Newcastle here. They're short though, -240 here against a Wolves side who have really, really struggled at the start of the season. Nigel, what you got for your 2U play?
Well, I think that situation now put to bed is fantastic news for Newcastle. And get on with their season. Their season starts now. Eddie Howe, I thought, has held himself in great credit throughout this sort of situation, and the team performances on the pitch have been superb. I mean, they should have got something from the Liverpool match. They played excellent with 10 men against the champions of England. They played brilliant in the first match against Aston Villa. And now we know Aston Villa probably aren't as good as we expected, but Newcastle should have won that. If they had a striker, they would have won that. And played half decently against Leeds. They didn't have a striker. They've now got a striker. Nick Woltemade is his name. Is that how you pronounce it? How's your name? Woltemade?
Yeah, close enough.
Anyway, Nick
the
to me.
Big fella up front.
Big Nick.
Big Nick up front. They've got Big Nick now, and I think that makes a difference. So suddenly they've got home support behind them. They were one of the best teams with the home record last season, covering the spread. They covered the spread. They won a lot of matches. When they won, they didn't win 1-0. They won 2, 3, 4. They're up against a Wolves side who are in big, big trouble, I think. I'm not quite sure whether the manager will stay there. He's got a history of walking away from these kind of situations, and I'm not quite sure. Nuno is available again, isn't he? So there could be a return with their former manager. I'm not too sure. Last season, both matches were 2-0 to Newcastle. And, Strand Larsen is a doubt for this match. So that's a problem for Wolves. I'm going to go for Newcastle -1.25 goal here at -107. I think they have to start winning. They spent their big money on the striker. They've been creating chances. He will have opportunities. They're without Joe Linton. They've got some of their players back. Gordon, I thought, played well for England in midweek. He's back from suspension. And it's a strong bet for me. My only concern, this is my only concern in the bet, is that Newcastle play Barcelona at home in the Champions League on Thursday night. Now, because it's a Thursday, that I think might give them enough time to goal out. If it was a Tuesday, I'd be very worried. But I think because it's Thursday, the Champions League plays Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But that is an absolutely massive game for this club, and you start with the Champions League with that match at home. That would be my only worry. But when you look at Newcastle winning, they do win by big margins at home. The new striker is that situation put to bed, playing well, not getting the results, but playing exceptionally well. Everything could come together in this match, and I think Wolves could be in for a very, very tough time, especially if their goal threat is not playing. They're a team lacking in confidence. I opposed them all the way through August, and I don't see anything to oppose them at the start of September as well. So Newcastle to cover the spread, -1.25 and -107. I can't see Newcastle not winning this match. So we will get at least half of our bet back. I think they'll win against a very poor side. And I do think that now everything is settled at Newcastle. You'll see the results coming. So Newcastle, -1.25 at +107. Word of caution, no. Barcelona on Thursday.
Yeah, is at home, though, as you mentioned. I think that might make a difference. Voltemata didn't score for Germany, but Wissa did when he was away for his national side. Wolves -118 to be relegated, Jack. They've had a shocking start. Nigel's going for them to cover the spread. What's your angle for this one?
Yeah, I've just gone for a slightly different angle on over 2.75 goals at -109. Pretty much because I had a feeling Nigel might be going for Newcastle on this one, so I thought I'd just offer something different. But it's on the same thinking, really. I think Newcastle could cover this on their own, to be honest. As you said, I went unders on Newcastle on matchday 3 because they had injuries, suspensions, and no strikers, and they've got all those things really back in their favour now with, I say, Watmore and also with Wissa coming in to cover that striking asset. And so I think it's massive the fact that Isak debacle's out the way, and how the Newcastle fan base has kind of got behind the club on that one, rather than the fact, you lose your star striker. Sometimes that could be the club ain't done enough to keep him. Obviously, with how he acted, really, in their eyes, it's galvanised them to get even further behind him. And this is, as Nigel said again, that fresh start, I think, for him, which is massive. And Wolves have been awful, and I think that there's a possibility they could come to the party here and score a goal or two. So I've kind of kept that on side. But yeah, over 2.75. So 3 goals here will get us some kind of profit as well. And so you look at Wolves' matches at the start of this season, 3 of their 4 matches have seen over 3.5 goals so far, which is a continuation on a theme from last season where they're averaging away games 3.37 goals per game, 14 of the 19 seeing at least 3. So yeah, for me, goals in this one because Newcastle are bang up for it, and they'll want to go into that Barcelona game with their tails up and with some confidence behind them. So yeah, I agree with Nigel totally that I like Newcastle on the Asian handicap, but for a slightly different angle of attack, I've gone for goals.
Fulham Leeds next, and we've got 2 official picks in this game. Jack's thoughts first. Fulham are minus money, not the most reliable at minus money at home. Certainly last season, at least just 2 wins from 6. You would have turned a loss if you'd have backed level stakes. Leeds have been nibbled at a little bit, but it's a Fulham player, Jack, that's caught your eye.
Yeah, originally I was going with Leeds to score in the second half here, which was plus money because anyone wants to look into the stats of that, it's a really strong play. But we don't often put up a shot on target bet here as an official play. But I'm breaking that trend for this one because it's a player I've really been impressed with at the start of the season. That player is Josh King for Fulham. Over 0.5 shots on target is minus 105 and is my 1 unit play. I was surprised by the price on him, really. He has really caught the eye. We mentioned him at the start of the season as one that could be a breakthrough player, and he's done nothing to suggest we're wrong in that respect at the start of the campaign. Last time out, he should have got his first goal for the club. was ruled out by VAR, which Howard Webb, kind of boss of the referees, has now come out and said that was a mistake or misjudgment. I think was his.
Too late now, Howard, for all the both teams to
that.
score punters. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, both teams scored absolutely, and for Josh King, it was a massive moment.
Yeah.
I see it got voted Fulham's goal of the month, didn't it, by their supporters?
Did it? Oh, I like that.
So as a little bit of a two fingers up kind of thing. So yeah, he's been excellent, and I say against Leeds that away from, we've talked about it before. I think Leeds obviously at home are going to be that strong side, and they're going to want to get, or they're going to get the majority of their points there. Away from home, they do look a bit vulnerable. I'm not going to say it's a 5-0 like they did against Arsenal last time out, but I didn't actually watch that Chelsea game. I was going between Newcastle and Chester at the time, across country. But I listened to it on the radio, and sometimes on the radio, when you can hear a name. Indeed, I turned the wireless on, and it was you hear a name, don't you, quite regularly, and everything that Fulham were doing, especially in that first half, it was Josh King, and then I watched the highlights, and yeah, sure enough, he was very much in it. 3 games so far this season, pretty tricky ones. Chelsea away, Brighton away, Man United at home, and he's had a shot on target in each of those as well, and so he should have scored as well as that against Chelsea. So I think you'll get chances here. I've had a lot of Leeds fans telling me that they're betting them their side to get relegated or to finish bottom. There's a lot of despondency. I don't quite know why at this stage, but I think Fulham, yeah, although I wouldn't be wanting to get them on side in the match result outcome, I like their key man at this moment, Josh King, over 0.5 shots on target, -105.
Nigel, you have got your hot dog in this one. This is a little bit of a diversion for you. You're on holiday. You're ordering off the menu with this one.
Yeah, it's a little bit strange. Really and simply was because there was a lot of stuff here I couldn't really justify. A lot of things I liked, the hot dogs that just didn't fall into the category of the price. But there's a lot of things I like here. With regards to the game, I think Fulham possibly might edge it, and they're still waiting for their first win of the season. But they didn't play very well against Chelsea, and 2 draws as well prior to that. But I think they might just edge it because of that Leeds form. I think they're going to be polar opposite home to away. I think there's a lot of teams this season. Sunderland, I think Burnley, polar opposites home and away. The bet I like here is a penalty in the match at +225, which is something I've never done before. But let me tell you why. Fulham have conceded a penalty in their last 5 Premier League matches. And no team has ever gone 6 matches consecutive where they have conceded a penalty. Last match, Leeds played Arsenal. Arsenal had so much possession, played with wingers. Leeds give away a penalty. And I know it doesn't really much relevance, but I was looking for something else to back it up. But the referee, Craig Pawson, in his last match gave a penalty in the match between Forest and West Ham. And I just think Fulham will have a lot of possession. They play with attacking wingers, and I think they'll cut inside. And the Leeds fullbacks were putting tackles in against Arsenal that were giving them conceding penalties. And Fulham have conceded a penalty in their last 5. So, just on the stats, looking for a little bit of something different, I thought +225, a pen to be awarded in the match. That'd be either way, could be a little bit of value. Fulham obviously conceding them, Leeds are conceding them. The referee has given one in his last match. So, +225, a penalty in the match, something different.
Yeah, Uzo's kicking in, isn't it? Stat to back that up if you want.
What's that?
I said that Uzo's kicking in, isn't it?
What was that, Jack? I can give you a couple more stats if you want. Leeds away at Arsenal. Arsenal had 31 touches in the Leeds penalty area. Again, if you're getting possession in the opposition penalty area, there could be a penalty. And Fulham at home in their game against United had 37 touches in the opposition box. So, look, it's one of those things that could well happen, and the stats to back it up. That's Nigel's hot dog, +225. Let's get to Everton and Villa here, because we've got Jack's 2-unit play here. Everton are +140, Jack, for this game. They were +250 for this game last season. That's either Everton on the up, Villa on the down. What's your 2-unit play?
Yeah, I think definitely with those odds, that's the case, isn't it? Where people are looking at this start to the season. This one stood out to me. I looked at, ahead of the international break at this slate, and this was the one that leapt off the page to me. Over 2.25 goals at -125 as a 2-unit play. I was a bit surprised that line is still available, to be fair. I thought we might be looking at the over 2.5 goals line. I wouldn't put anyone off, obviously, playing that. But with this, of course, we are protecting half that unit as far as if there are only 2 goals in the game, we will get a unit back. And couldn't help but be impressed with Everton so far. So I've talked about the magic dust they got in those forward areas now. They absolutely have 3 straight wins, competitive wins now before the international break. David Moyes nominated for Manager of the Month. Jack Grealish nominated for Player of the Month. That says all you need to know. It shows you that things are moving in the right direction for him. We've already talked about the other players that have impressed as well. Dewsbury Hall and Dye. We're still waiting for Barry to kind of hit his straps up front. Beto is still there, showing that he's going to be worth selection as well. But at the other end, they've conceded 3, but they've got expected goals against of 5.66, and only Burnley have got a worse expected goals against. So you would expect a little bit of regression to the mean there, which is a theme I like. And that is certainly one I'm going to apply to Aston Villa, who have started terribly. Can't dress up any more than that. Obviously, it's cost me a few units to find out they've started terribly as well. Sitting 19th in the table, a real shock, really. So just 1 point from their opening 3 matches, and that was a fortunate one against Newcastle, as Nigel's already touched on earlier, where Newcastle battered them really for most of that game. So although that was 0-0, that should have seen more goals as well. My thinking here is that I can't believe Aston Villa haven't scored a goal yet. We've talked about their attacking players. We know what Watkins brings. We know what Morgan Rogers brings. They've got others around there as well, the likes of Tielemans, as also Milan, and 1 or 2 others. They've got a great new signing as well as in Elliott from Liverpool. Expect him to shine in this, similar to how Rashford and Asensio did last season for them. They've got a good knack of picking up players that have got kind of points to prove and go and do that. So they averaged 1.53 goals per game last season. Obviously, they're on 0 at the minute, which does mean they're probably going to be around about that figure again this season. They're going to have to start picking up, obviously, to catch that average up. It will come, and I want to try and catch the right side of that wave and get on it before they're already doing scoring goals. So, yeah, for me, I think this one is looks like an exciting game on paper, and I expect there to be goals in it. So, yeah, 2.25 goals for me, 2-unit play, minus 125.
Nigel, your thoughts on this one? Unai Emery, incidentally, 16-1 to be next manager to go. I've seen. I mean, I don't think Villa would sack him, but could he walk? Are they in a false position here? Do you think Villa are they going to start to move at the table fairly rapidly, or do you think they'll just sink to sort of mid-table obscurity once it settles down? What are your thoughts on this one?
Marco Bizot.
Yeah.
I think this is a really interesting match because after 3 weeks of the season, you've got the team that everybody thinks is going to improve in the Premier League against the team that everyone thinks is going to regress in the Premier League. And usually you want to be with the team that everyone hasn't overreacted to. So that potentially could make Aston Villa a bet here. I also think that the Everton performance in their last home match was a one-off because of the nature of the first home game in the stadium. I think it's going to be very hard to replicate that atmosphere week in and week out. However much people will say it's a British stadium, it's going to be great. But I think it's a very, very... They were playing for the first match. So I think they're going to be on a come down slightly. And Aston Villa are only going to be on the upside. So from the match market here, I think the price on Aston Villa on the draw no bet market becomes a little bit of value, even though I think Everton are going to do well this season. I just think the market has really, really overreacted. And we've only seen 3 games. So it's got carried on. You said it at the intro, what price Everton were the start of the season last season compared to this season. There's a big difference. So I'm leaning towards, but what we've seen in the season so far, you've got to be making a case for Everton. But I just think the reaction to the price is too much. That Aston Villa have come at big price. Aston Villa have obviously got some problems behind the scenes. Obviously you're joking about that Marco Bizot, but there's something going on there, obviously. And, losing some of the players they have and the way that the players have spoken out about it, there is some problem here at the moment. But I think the signing of Harvey Elliott, and I know you and I have spoken about this before. I think he's a proper player. And, a good season for him could... I think probably be a little bit too late given the amount of talent we have in the England squad, but a good season and could put him definitely into the talking point of the England places for the next World Cup. And I think he's got a young man got to use that. So I expect an upsurge from Aston Villa in this match. I understand why people want to bet Aston Villa of what we've seen in 3 games, but what we've seen over 3 seasons, you'd be betting Aston Villa. And you've got to remember, these are the majority of the same players that have done it pushed them to close to being in the Champions League last year, pushed them into the Champions League the year before. And this is an Everton side that have, they bought some good players in 2 or 3, but the majority of them are teams that were struggling to stay in the Premier League. So there has been a huge overreaction in 3 matches, and I would stay calm. And Villa fans, I keep the faith. So I'd probably be betting Villa draw no bet, because if the market continues the way it's going. So difficult one to call, but I think the overreaction towards Villa might not be justified just yet.
Yeah, I think that's a fair angle in. Villa, who were 2-1, they've been nibbled at a little bit. They've probably been pushed out too big too soon. Palace, Sunderland next. We've got Nigel's 1 unit play here. This is another 10 a.m. Saturday Eastern. Palace are -155 favourites. Gahey stayed. Glasner stayed. They were sort of dependent on each other, Nigel, to a certain extent, we're told. I mean, they're unbeaten in 6. They had that sort of European game thrown in as well. I mean, I think, for me, Palace, I mean, I know that we don't generally put up -155 shots here, but I mean, they're max bet material for me. What do you like?
Well, yeah, they are. And the record this season has been exceptional, unbeaten. They played some good sides. Liverpool, Chelsea, Aston Villa. 3-0 win at Aston Villa, kept the clean sheet. 0-0 against Chelsea, a match that I was at. Quite fortunate to get the 0-0, but I've said it for a year and a half now since watching Palace, 2 seasons watching Palace. They are one of the most underestimated sides in the Premier League, and their defensive unit is quality. The goalkeeper, the back 3, the fullbacks, they are so hard to break down. And I think Sunderland are all going to be about the home form. We saw their last away match. They travelled to Burnley, got beat 2-0. They're going to get beat 2-0 at Burnley. Going to Selhurst Park here is going to be a tough ask. South East London rocking, and Palace will be expectant. Interesting stat for you. Palace, in their 3 matches this season, they've only got 4 corners in 3 matches. I find that quite amazing. Just 4 corners. And Sunderland, they've only scored 5 goals in the Premier League this season, but not one of those goals has been in the first half. So they come good. But 4 of those goals, or 5 of the goals, have all been at home. So I'm going to go fear. I mean, I think Palace will win like you, -155, no value. But Palace, so good, so underestimated, kept Gahey, kept the manager, good defensive. Lequara, I keep saying to you for ages, I think he's a better defender than Gahey. If I was Liverpool, I'd be looking at Lequara rather than him. But I think Palace to win 2-0 at +145 is the way to go. It's a big price, +145. Palace, very, very good. I think they've played 6 matches this season, and they kept clean sheets in 4 of them. I mean, Liverpool scored 2, and then I can't remember the other side was, but they've kept 4 clean sheets in 6 matches. And now they're playing probably they are one of the poorest sides in the Premier League, who are going to be very hard to beat at home. But on the road, I think they're going to get their tummies rubbed a little bit. Palace, +145 to win 2-0 is my 1U pick. And bearing in mind, however much you've had a bad start to the season, which is bad. Last week I thought I was a bit unlucky, but all the 1U picks have won this season. So hopefully we're going for 4 from 4, +145 Palace to win 2-0 against a Sunderland side. It could be a Jekyll and Hyde on the road to at home.
Great corner stat, actually, from you. We were talking about corners on the live show the other day, and the sort of correlation between the way that teams play. And just because teams have got wing backs doesn't necessarily mean that they force a lot of corners. It's, stylistically.
Palace are plus money to get more than 4.5 corners in this match. Plus money under 4.5 corners. They're minus money. And about 5.5 corners is about even. They've only got 4 all season, but I was going to put that up as a bet. But the word of caution for that is obviously if they haven't scored early against the Sunderland side, they throw everything.
Yeah,
and try to
game
take
state
the game.
is everything we've called.
And obviously Sunderland, so if they go 2-0 up or 1-0 up or 2-0 up quite early, and Bet Rivers are betting this in play, it may be a bet to bet the under corners because Palace will keep the ball 2-0 up. But obviously if Palace will go behind or they're chasing the match, that will put off. So I've questioned Steve Wiss about this before in some of the shows we've done before. I think corner bets are much better in play than they are pre-match.
It's
because then you can watch the stadium.
Yeah.
I think you've got to read the game completely and then have your bet. So I was going to play that because the stats are so good. But I thought to myself, if they're struggling to break Sunderland down, who are going to be defensively strong and resolute for the first half hour or so, they might throw everything to get the corners. So if they score early, 2-0 up half time, definitely look at that corners in the second half.
It's a massive game stake, but myself and Lewis talked about it yesterday. Jack, what do you got for us here? I mean, I looked at Sunderland. They had 9 summer signings start in their game against Brentford, which they won. I think Nigel's got this one spot on. There's going to be games where they look good because they've got good players. there's going to be games where they're going to look a bit disjointed because it's a completely new team, and home and away stats over the course of the season is going to be interesting. Give us your lean on this one.
Yeah, bang on. It is a lean, but it was very, very nearly official. This is nearly my 1 unit play, but I have bet it. So this will be one of those ones that will say a lean, but I'm going to have my money on it. And that's both teams to score no at plus 100 for all those reasons that Nigel's already stated. That strong defence, keeping Gay, he's obviously massive, which has in turn meant the manager stayed as well. They're currently on the longest unbeaten run in the Premier League. No other side has got a better record than that. 9 games unbeaten now, obviously including the back end of last season. And say that defence is great. I've ignored the Community Shield, but 1 goal conceded in 5 competitive games this season. I say against some decent opposition, including those games in Europe as well. They just do look so strong defensively. And yeah, we've said, and we'll say it a lot, I think, Sunderland, Leeds, those type of sides, everything's gearing up towards their home games. And they've taken the pressure off. They've won that 2 home games. It's a little bit of a free swing, but ultimately, I just don't think they've got the firepower, the nous to go and break down this really, really solid Palace. They look so good defensively, Nowhere's there. Sarr is out. That would be the concern going forward. So the onus is on Mateta for goals. Nearly put him forward as well as far as a goal is concerned. He's minus 109, given that he's pretty much the only one they've got in that respect too. But both teams score no is Moline at plus 100. I'm on the live show on Saturday for team news, and I'm already put a circle around Daniel Munoz. I want to see where he's playing because there's no Ismail Assar. No, he might be playing further forward. So he might be actually a full-out winger in that Sarr role. If he is, 2 shots plus 170, shot on target plus 190, score plus 600, assist plus 480, or either plus 260 all come into play. But I'll be covering that on the live show on Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, lovely plug. All the team news is in. That's the advantage we're going to have for you on that live show. Most of the shows, most of the preview shows, and all the copy you see on websites don't know the teams. We are live when the teams come out for those 10 a.m. Eastern kickoffs. Be aware of that. Make sure you join us. Let's get some really quick leans on West Ham, Spurs and Brentford, Chelsea from the boys. Nigel, first up, Spurs just over even money. No one in the world is backing Spurs away from home at just over evens, are they?
Well, 2 of the most inconsistent sides in the Premier League. You don't know what to get. West Ham, obviously, really disappointed and go and win 3-0 at Nottingham Forest. Tottenham, everyone thought they were going to be back to their best. Then they lose at home to Bournemouth. Tottenham have a big match, obviously, in the Champions League as well against Villarreal, but it is at home. West Ham, might be a little bit of optimism around. Tottenham have got so many crucial key players out injured. Kulusevski, Madison, long-term, Bazuma, Solanke, big players for them. This is a match that notoriously gets goals. If you go back through the history of this match, 9 out of the last 10 matches between the two of them in the Premier League, both teams have scored. Yes, I would expect goals. I would expect both teams to score. A new time, a new era under Levy gone for Tottenham. The owner of Tottenham is gone. The chairman is gone. So some fans will be celebrating that. Some fans might not be so happy. But I think there's goals in this match. Thomas Frank has a brilliant record in London derbies when he was manager at Brentford. I think he will bounce back. I think West Ham obviously now have a big win, but they've still got defensive frailties. The goalkeeper I'm not sure about. The defence I'm not sure about. Both teams to score, yes. It's minus 139, but I think that's the way to go.
Reverted to a back 4 West Ham for that win last time out. Jack, quick lean from you on this one.
Yeah, toughest game of the slate to call for me. I've just gone simple over 2.5 goals as well on it. A couple of stats for those that are looking to play it in other areas. Only back-to-back victories in one during Graham Potter's 23-game league tenure for West Ham. So he's obviously looking to put that right in this one. No Spurs win at West Ham since 2019. West Ham's last 6 competitive matches all produced over 2.5 goals. So that's the angle I'm taking.
Nice. Brentford, Chelsea next. This is Saturday night in the UK, West London derby. Brentford, Nigel, got a good record against Chelsea. They have only lost 1 of their last 7. What's your thoughts, Nigel, quickly on this one?
Yeah, I know, but it's obviously under different managers. Thomas Frank was in charge, Keith Andrews. I think it's, everyone we're saying about Brentford having a tough season. But I thought the under 2.5 goals, how I didn't catch that last week in the Brentford Sunderland game. I absolutely can't believe it. And it must be heartbreaking for the manager here. I've gone for. I mean, Chelsea have a huge match against Bayern Munich in the Champions League again, which is massive.
Away.
This is a young team. This is a young side, Chelsea side. They want to start off fast. They're the world champions up against the German champions. But it's going to be quite interesting to see how this one goes. I think this could be a narrow Chelsea win. I think they want to keep everybody fit. I think probably a 1-0, 2-0 Chelsea win here. No Palmer, no Delap. Both of those are out for this match. They may come back in midweek. So, I mean, Jack mentioned him last week, but João Pedro will be leading the hopes of a goal-scoring threat here. And my lean is João Pedro to score any time at plus 155 because there's no Palmer, no Delap. He's been great since he come to the club. Brilliant in the Club World Cup. 2 goals already in the Premier League against the Brentford side. Leaky, not to be trusted. Plus 155, João Pedro to score any time in a narrow Chelsea win.
A narrow Chelsea victory across town, or ish, not really across town, down the road. Jack, what have you got? You've gone corners.
I have, yeah, one under 6.5 Chelsea corners, minus 130, which shows you how hard it was for me to find a bet in this one. I kind of thought Brentford plus handicap, but I can't trust them under Andrews still with Chelsea coming back from international break and that massive game coming up. Chelsea, yeah, a little bit not sure about still, but they are capable of doing what they did to West Ham and blitzed them. So left that. So yeah, landed on corners. Since Brentford's promotion, Chelsea have never taken more than 6 corners in 5 visits to the stadium, including one in the League Cup. They've hit 6, 6, 5, 2 and 2, and only twice in their last 10 road trips in the league have they crossed that line. And Brentford have only conceded 7 or more in 3 of the last 18 at home. Admittedly, new manager, etc. now, I know, which does put that element in this one where it's a one to leave. But a lean, under 6.5 corners for Chelsea at minus 130.
Yeah, I think the sort of Keith Andrews at Brentford, bettors are finding their feet a little bit with some of the Brentford stats. Let's get to Sunday's games. Burnley against Liverpool next up. This is Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern. Burnley are plus 900 now, Nigel. Liverpool are minus 335. Liverpool the same price they were roughly against Ipswich away from home, which is their first game of last season. I mean, for me, Liverpool are a better team and Burnley aren't as good as Ipswich. I mean, I've got to get with Liverpool somehow. I'm not quite sure how. How are you doing it? If you are doing it.
Well, I mean, Liverpool will play 3-1-3, the only team in the Premier League to have a 100% winning record. But are they playing well? I don't think they're playing well. They were lucky to get the win against Arsenal. They were lucky to get the win against Newcastle. They didn't play very well against Bournemouth. And that's the sign of champions, isn't it? 3
Absolutely.
wins, three matches, 3 wins.
How good are they going to be when it clicks?
But exactly. And then they've brought in £100 million striker to the team to make his debut. I mean, it's Friday. When you think about it, if you were rating Liverpool's performance out of 10, you'd only give them a 6, really. And defensively, you give them a 3. So, it's frightening and how good they are. And they've beaten they've taken 2 points off their main title rivals. So, everything looks good for them. Obviously, they have a Champions League match again, which is something we have to factor in here. But if you're going into the Champions League, a match against Burnley wouldn't be so much of a worry. Not far too much to travel here, but this Burnley side. I mean, the thing is here, Isak makes a start. He's the second favourite to be score at any time. Plus 123 Salah, plus 135 Isak.
That's massive, isn't it? I mean, he's not going to start. He's not going to start, but just in isolation, that's huge. It's Burnley. But he's not going to be minus $300, minus $3
He's not going to be on pens either. I think Salah will still be on pens. I mean, that's the factor here. I think whoever gets the penalty duties will obviously be the favourite. So that's probably why Salah still rates the favourite here. I mean, however bad Liverpool have been defensively, which they have been pretty bad. Frimpong with a hamstring out actually helps them defensively. Doesn't help them from an attacking threat. He's much more bombing forward attackingly. Defensively, I think they'll be a little bit more comfortable. The 4 matches that they played against Burnley, the last 4 matches, 2-0, 1-0, 3-0, 3-0. They've all 1-0. I think if you're boosting up Liverpool's money line for minus 315, I know Konate is a bit of a defensive liability at the moment, but against this Burnley side, that probably think, well, we're going to lose this and we've got bigger matches to come up. I think if you are going to boost it, plus 115 Liverpool to win 0, get no injuries, get everyone fit and get ready for the Champions League and probably unleash Salah, Isak and Ekitike on the Champions League in midweek. Plus 115 Liverpool to win 0 would be the way I think is the best way to get with the champions.
Jack, you've been copying Nigel.
Was that the way around, was it? Okay. we just to clarify, we do submit these independently, and I've got exactly the same route. Yeah, exactly the same bet. And this is another one. I mentioned it. It's not an official play. It was very close to it, but I have bet this myself. So it's my strong lean. Liverpool to win to 0. Yeah, plus 115. Yeah, for all those reasons, I've got nothing really much to add on it. Burnley's I've only conceded 4 goals, but they've got the worst expected goals against. So you probably expect it's very similar to what they did last season, but expect that balance to redress. And certainly they've conceded the most shots in the league. So you don't want to be doing that against this Liverpool side that could put out 2 attacks and be like lethal. And you got Dominic Szoboszlai there playing at right back, challenging his inner Trent Alexander-Arnold there with his crossfield raking passes and then smashing free kicks into the net from 30 yards. So, yeah, for me, this looks a standout play to boost those odds so well. And I think Slot has mentioned it 2 or 3 times about it's not acceptable, Liverpool's defence. He's clearly been working on it, and they were a lot better against Arsenal, and Kenyatte was a lot better against Arsenal, and Burnley have got nowhere near that kind of firepower. So expect Liverpool to keep them at an arm's length, control this one out, win to 0. Definitely plus 115.
Boys have talked about Isak and Salah, but none are favourite to win the Golden Boot in the Premier League. The man who is Haaland at City, and the last game of the match day is the Manchester Derby. City hosting United Sunday 11:30. City minus 148. United plus 370, but there's going to be a lot of focus on Haaland, Jack, and he is the subject of your hot dog play this week.
Yeah, I have. I might be being a bit giddy after midweek. I was on the show with Steve when I've never seen him so excited, to be honest with you, and he was right. With Norway scoring 11 goals, incredible stuff. And I was on Haaland for 2 or more in that one. And I'm going for him here again. He was plus 400 when I kind of put it forward. It's been trimmed to plus 310 still, but I'm still going to keep with that as a hot dog. And look, City have got lots of injury doubts, but there's no doubt that he will be leading the line. He'll probably get the 90 minutes as well. He couldn't be any more confident, surely. And I just think that Man United's defence and especially goalkeeper are vulnerable and there for the taking against someone of that physical presence like Haaland. And I think City don't normally throw balls into the box, but you know what, Pep's going to see that and see what United have been doing defensively. And I think we might see a little bit of that. Not going to say they're going to go route one, but they'll certainly, I think, it'll be a little bit more direct. We saw it against Wolves to a certain degree when Haaland got a couple in that one as well. But look, his record is decent against Manchester United. He's already scored a hat-trick and a brace against them in his 5 games that he's played against them. And he's been superb this season in a short space of time. Most shots in the league, most shots in the box in the league. 13 of his 14 come in the box, which is a great sign for a striker, obviously scoring goals. 5 of those on targets. Most big chances he's had as well was 6 in the league. Most headers with 8, which is, again, a key element when we're talking about frailty for United from set pieces and crosses into the box. That's twice as many headers as any other player in the Premier League this season. And his non-penalty expected goals is 3.88. And the second highest in the Premier League is at 2.0. So 3 goals. He is currently the top goal scorer. I think without it stays injury-free, without a shadow of doubt, he will be the top goal scorer come the end of the season. He can add to that tally here, and he's in sensational form. Like at this moment, he's obviously 6 goals in the international break over 1.5 games that he played. 5 obviously against Moldova. He scored 2 of his 3 Premier League games this season, and he scored in 11 of his last 13 starts for club and country. So I'm going with it here. I think it could be a big price come the final whistle here. It was plus 400, but plus 310. I'm still happy as my hot dog. Haaland to score 2 or more goals.
Brilliant stuff. Some good numbers to back up Haaland's having a good game against United. Nigel, your thoughts on this one? United 6.8 XG, most in the Premier League, second on expected goal difference, 6 on expected points. They won at City last season. Amorim versus Guardiola. He's played 5, lost only 1. Can we make a case for United?
No. I looked at the money. I mean, the Kuna might not play. Kuna might not play, which is a big, massive blow. Mason Mount might not play as well. Start the season in quite good form. I mean, City on the money line are minus 148. Haaland to score any time is minus 143. If City win, you would expect Haaland to be on the score sheet. So I was leaning towards Haaland as well. For all the same reasons that Jack has said there. Obviously, Mamouche is out injured, so
Yeah.
that means that Haaland will be more attack-minded. Going back to what they played a couple of years ago, he'd just be the target for us. And obviously, Jack's made all those stats about caught shots, headers. Man United are going to throw a rookie goalkeeper, given his debut, probably in this game as well. And he's up against the hottest property strike in world football at the moment. So it could be a baptism of fire for Lamins here. So, I'm on the Haaland train completely. If you look at Manchester United, they conceded 2 goals against Burnley at home. They conceded 2 goals against Grimsby. It wouldn't surprise me to see. And they've conceded every game they played. City also have a very good record of bouncing back when they have a defeat. When they have a shock defeat, Guardiola gets them back and they bounce back. Their record after defeat is very, very impressive. And I just can't see anything to be too positive for Manchester United fans in this derby. And I'm looking at Haaland again. He was the way I looked at it. I might do the old Steve Wiss approach of laddering it. So I might go for him to get a hat-trick rather than the 2 goals as a lean for me. But Haaland is minus 143 to score any time. Probably put it in a parlay, but you would expect this guy must be full of confidence. And he's a confident player anyway. And when he's full of confidence, he's virtually impossible to stop. And he'd be absolutely buzzing after the midweek. This is the best Norwegian national side to come out in history. They're dark horses to win the World Cup. A lot of talking about him, and Haaland is the main man to do it. So Haaland minus 143 anytime, 2 goals, 3 goals. We'll have it all on. Another tough day at the office for Manchester United.
Just speaking of laddering, I don't know how fast Steve went with that Norway game in midweek, but when I did the show after the game, we get all the figures in from Bet Rivers. Someone did go over 10.5 goals in that game, would you believe? Which is utterly incredible. Only for
Steve Wiss's missus is American.
yeah, she's probably got an account. But yeah, I mean, this is it. As Nigel points out, don't leave anything on the table here. If you think Haaland's going to have a good game, anytime goal scorer, first goal, a 2, 3, and so on. Brilliant stuff. Nigel, Jack, thanks for your company. Good luck to one and all. We'll keep everyone updated over the course of the weekend via our X feeds. That is a wrap for Betting Weekly Premier League show Match Day 4. Get your picks and your comments in on the YouTube channel. Live show, of course, Saturday. Jack has referenced it already. 9 a.m. team news, reaction, market movements, best props as well. And don't forget our midweek live show, 11 a.m. Eastern. Make sure you follow us at Because We Win and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. From all of us, for now, though, have a good betting weekend on the Premier League. We'll see you next week.